What is going on, golf fans? And welcome back to another episode of the Press Podcast. That's right. We are getting ready for the second tournament of the 2026 PGA Tour calendar, the American Express. But since last week, the tour kicked off with the Sony Open and Waialae Country Club in Honolulu. We have to go back and take a look at our picks. How did we do? I always warn people, the beginning of the season is tough. You have no idea what these players have been doing in the offseason, who's been grinding, who's been dealing with injuries, who's starting off hot while who's starting off cold. We all are at the same stage in the game, and even those players who are playing on the DP World Tour and might be playing a little bit more than others doesn't necessarily mean that they have the edge as it pertains to success on the PGA Tour. So last week, let's go back and let's take a look at what we had with the Sony Open. Remember, Russell Henley was the odds-on winner at plus 1,100, Hideki Matsuyama at plus 17. So was Ben Griffin at plus 1,700, JJ Spaun at plus 18, and Siwoo Kim, who had won this tournament in 2023 at plus 2,000. For our favorites, I went with Ben Griffin at plus 1,700. Early on, the first two rounds, he was playing some good golf, had a tough Saturday. He finishes tied for 19, so that does not hit. Then we had our long shot play, and our long shot play has to be greater than plus 2,000 odds. I had Corey Connors at plus 3,000. He finishes tied for 24th. All right. That's 0 for 2. Can we redeem ourselves? Top five. I had Ben Griffin. I doubled down on him at plus 330 odds in the top five. He finishes tied for 19th. Then I went with JJ Spaun, U.S. Open winner last year at Oakmont, plus 360 top five. He finishes tied for 40th. And then you have top 10. Went with Hideki Matsuyama at plus 185. He finishes just outside at tied for 13th. Then I went with Colin Morikawa, thinking, you know what? This guy struggled down the stretch. Yes, he made the Ryder Cup. He did not play well really after the Masters last season. And his struggles continued right into 2026. He misses the cut. He was just below the cut line, but a miscut is a miscut. Plus 200, this guy could not make a putt to save his life. And that's going to be an issue. And that's really going to make me hesitant to take Colin Morikawa anytime soon. Took a flyer and I got burned. So now no top 10 plays. Top 20 took Corey Connors. Again, just outside the number. One more birdie probably would have gotten us into that realm. Tied for 24th. Corey Connors plus 125 doesn't cash. Took Jordan Spieth on another flyer. He, just like Corey Connors, finishes just outside, also tied for 24th. So we were so close with Hideki Matsuyama, Corey Connors, and Jordan Spieth of actually getting 3 of those 8 outright picks done, and that didn't happen. But I do bonus plays. I'm tracking bonus plays in 2026. Last season had a lot of success there, but we didn't do it the entire season. We're doing them the entire season. We're going to track those. Had a good day for the bonus plays. I went with a triple play of Russell Henley, Ben Griffin, or Hideki Matsuyama winning at plus 400. That does not cash, but the next two do. The winning margin of 2 shots. Well, we know that Chris Gotterup wins, and he wins by 2 shots. That's a plus 360 bet that cashes. We'll take it. Then I took Jake Knapp to finish the best in Group E, the Group E winner. I took Jake Knapp at plus 360 odds. So he finished much better than Brian Harman, Denny McCarthy, Kiefer Echevarria, all of them. Jake Knapp wins that group, so we win that bet at plus 360. So for keeping tabs, 0 for 8 on our outright picks. Our bonus, we were 2 for 3. So not a horrible start to the tournament season. I wish we would have gotten one of our top 5, top 10, top 20 plays to hit, but we didn't close. So now we move ahead to the American Express. Let's talk about the course first. Pete Dye Stadium course in La Quinta, California. So now they are away from Hawaii and they are on the West Coast in California. They're going to stay there for probably a couple weeks. Then they'll move their way to Phoenix and then eventually down to Florida. It's a par 72 course, 7,210 yards, pretty standard amongst PGA Tour courses. Now let's look at our past winners. In 2025, Sepp Straka. 2024, Nick Dunlap. Remember, Nick Dunlap was the winner when he had to make a choice whether he was going to turn pro, and he did. 2023, John Rahm, and 2022, Hudson Swafford won. So those are your past winners. You got to keep that in the back of your mind when you're talking about whether they play well on the course, the event, all of that. Now let's look at the odds. Scottie Scheffler is going to make his 2026 debut here in California. And it was funny, last year, everyone said, Never take Scotty in California. He's never won in California, but he did last year when he won the Procore Championship before the Ryder Cup. And that kind of got that he checked that off the list. He had finally won in, I think that was in Napa. He wins the Procore. So Scotty Scheffler is plus 280 to win this tournament. The next best odds are Ben Griffin at plus 2,000. And then we have three players all at plus 2,500. Sam Burns, Russell Henley, and Robert McIntyre, Bobby Mack at plus 2,500. So those are your top five in terms of the odds on favorites to win. What are we going to do with our picks? First, our favorite pick, it has to be under plus 2,000. If that's the case, some tournaments that isn't the case, but in this case there is. I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler, not because he's the only player under the plus 2,000 like line there, that plateau mark. I think Scotty Scheffler is going to start off the year with the bang. Everyone thinks back to last season and they think about how Scotty started off slow. Let's also not forget Scotty missed the first portion of the season last year after he had that accident punching ravioli with a wine glass. It breaks, it severs his hand. He has to have surgery and stitches. That threw everything off at the start of the season for Scotty Scheffler last year. I like Scotty Scheffler at plus 280 as my favorite pick. Long shot. I'm going to go with last year's winner, Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka had a great year last year. He carried that all the way through to the Ryder Cup. He won signature events. He won this tournament last year. I like Sepp Straka at plus 4,500 as my long shot play. These are tough. The outright winners are really difficult to pick. So I really try to hone in on top 5, top 10, and top 20. So Scotty Scheffler, shockingly enough, to be a top 5 finish in this tournament is minus 150. Now, if you've listened to my press podcast for any duration of time, you know I like plus odds when I'm giving picks or gambling on golf. But Scotty Scheffler at only minus 150, if you were to bet $10, you're going to win $6 and some change. Okay, that's not bad. I'm going to take Scotty Scheffler top 5 because if I'm not so sure he's going to win the tournament, I have a really good inkling that he's going to finish in the top 5. So I've got Scotty Scheffler top 5 minus 150. I'm going to go with Russell Henley, who didn't play poorly last week. He's been playing, though. I think he's going to be playing and trending in the right direction. Russell Henley is plus 475 to be in the top 5. I'm going to take Russell Henley, the Georgia Bulldog, to actually come out and get that job done. So our top 5 plays to recap: Russell Henley plus 475, Scotty Scheffler minus 150. Now let's look at the top 10. I've got Ludwig Åberg at plus 225. Again, I think about trends. Last year, Ludwig played very well in the early portions of the season and then kind of died off towards the end. I'm going to hope that trend continues. I've got Ludwig plus 225 top 10. Then I've got Robert McIntyre at plus 235. He played well last week. If he didn't break his putter in the final round, I think it was on 16, he might have actually finished close to the top 10 last week. Actually, he was in the top 10. Robert McIntyre plus 235 in the top 10. So our top 10 plays Ludwig Åberg and Robert McIntyre. Top 20. I'm going to go with Sepp Straka at plus 155. So I could have doubled down and said Sepp Straka top 5, top 10. Just going to go with top 20. Sepp didn't play well at the end of last season, even though he played well in the Ryder Cup at spots. I like Sepp Straka in the top 20 plus 155. And then I'm going to go with Akshay Bhatia. Akshay is a player that, Liv went after him. They wanted him for Phil Mickelson's team, the High Flyers in Liv Golf. He turned them down, said, no, thank you. I think Akshay is going to have a good start to the year. He is plus 250 to be in the top 20. So I like that. So our top 20 plays, Sepp Straka and Akshay Bhatia. Or maybe it's Bhatia. I always mispronounce his last name. My apologies. All right, so we have 3 bonus plays this week. Here's what we have. I always like to take, when Scotty Scheffler is the odds-on favorite, it's in this case, plus 280. I like to double down and often triple down on that and get better odds. So what do? You're not going to have the return on a plus 280 bet. So what do? Go to your bonus plays. Put Scotty Scheffler or Ben Griffin as your double for your best double odds at plus 240. And then you go to the triple and say, I'm going to take Scotty, Ludwig, or Robert McIntyre to win at plus 200. If you were to take Scotty outright at plus 280 and then those double and triple plays, you have now tripled your bets. If Scotty wins, there you go. If Scotty wins, you then cash out on all 3 of those plays, which helps the return. But it also gives you another chance if Ben Griffin, he comes out and plays well, or if Ludwig plays well, or Bobby Mack, it can all help. Okay. But I always like to do this when I think Scotty Scheffler has a really good chance of winning a tournament. You can use the bonus plays to help. And let's even triple down on it. The play is the big guns versus the field. So if any of these players win, Scotty Scheffler, Ben Griffin, Ludwig Oberg, Sam Burns, Robert McIntyre, Russell Henley, or Patrick Cantlay, those are your big guns. If any of those players win, we will cash out a plus 125 bet compared to if anyone else not named those players, big guns, win. So big guns versus the field, we're taking the big guns at plus 125. Will we have success? We will see. I want to tell everyone that's listening to this or watching this on our YouTube channel, if you missed yesterday's podcast where I gave you my predictions for the 4 major tournaments coming up on the PGA Tour schedule, go back and check that out. Not time sensitive. Also with the latest news in golf. I'm going to be back tomorrow with another podcast with my buddy Dan from Leave the Pin, our mixtape for the month of January. Make sure you check that out. But that does it for this episode of the Press Podcast. I thank you all for listening. The Fairways and Dreams podcast. It's a part of the Golfer Gang Network. Make sure you check us out at golfergang.com. But you finish it up. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.